Hello, everybody. It's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, welcoming you to another episode of our quarterly SAP broadcast, rant, coffee corner, whatever you want to call it, here with my fabulous co-host, Martin Fischer. Hey, Martin, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. Thanks, Holger. And also hi from my side. And welcoming especially all the listeners of Coffee Corner Radio podcast is the correct name, Holger.
I should get it right one of these days, right? It's all about coffee. There's an Australian thing about coffee espresso, SAP espresso or something. Yeah, it's Coffee Corner Radio. Apologies to all the people listening to us here. And, thank you for bearing up our rants about what happened at SAP. The problem is nothing really happened. No, just kidding.
A lot of stuff. It's overdue that we record again. But
Right.
that was a bit of a scheduling issue on both sides, I would say.
Exactly. We've been busy and supposedly Q1 and we shouldn't be doing too much stuff. But SAP kept me busy at least because they had their analyst or the innovation council, which used to be a meeting where they would show new things to us to get feedback. Now it's more like a meeting where they show the new stuff they will announce on Thursday. So that is for 2 days in New York at the nice Hudson River office. And big news is, of course, another thing with a B, right? There's not just BTP, right? Everything starts with B. Now there's also BDC, the Business Data Cloud, which SAP announced on Thursday.
Yeah, I think 3 weeks ago already, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
time flies when you're having fun. For me personally, it's the most important technical announcement SAP has made on this side of the century, which sounds very grandiose, right? But it's super overdue for SAP to do this. It's super overdue for any ERP vendor to do this because we know business relevant information is not only in transactional systems, which of course SAP masters well traditionally and has a HANA story, which we can also talk about. But there's other information which is relevant. It was also relevant for analytics, so this should have been done like 10 years ago, potentially, or even late 10 years ago.
We touched on this data lake topic you are, I think, referring to. We talked about that already a lot in previous episodes. I think
that's right.
Almost always.
Yeah, it always comes up, and it was not addressed. I mean, and to the point that Hasse would know that the first question I would ask him at Sapphire press conference would be about this and anticipating it. And 2 times SAP was close to address this, right? They tried 11 years ago. There's an interesting post by no longer with SAP Ayaz Kazi. I don't know if you've seen that, guys, on LinkedIn. Maybe I'll put it in the chat here about the historical first string where SAP tried to address it with Spark, but Spark was only memory. But already then, with now partner Databricks, and then there was another attempt with when the chief business officer from Microsoft was there. The name always escapes me. Nothing followed up. And then the third one actually was with Gerrit Katzenmeier, who now actually is no longer with Google, but with Workday. So back to the ERP world. Interesting, running products at Workday. Yeah, so this happened last week or something like that. So the data warehouse cloud, which didn't go much. So yeah, there's only so few crazy people who can do this, right? So yeah. But I think it's super important. And now AI, that's the interesting thing, right? AI pushes us over the border. Analytics wasn't strong enough, which is super interesting with all the talk of analytics, insights to action, which would have enabled before. The irony is now we have this for AI, but of course the first thing that SAP will ship are these insight apps or data apps or analytics apps, I forgot already how they call them, which are prepackaged analytical applications on top of the data. So
yeah,
super relevant. But what's your take?
Yeah, I think first of all, maybe some of our listeners are more or less living under a stone. Don't take it personal, and didn't get the news what SAP announced.
They're just too busy. They're just too busy to stay up with everything, right? Yeah, they're upgrading from ECC to S4HANA.
Right, and then you're super busy and you have to slice this elephant in the room. Yeah, maybe in a nutshell, what SAP announced is the new offering called Business Data Cloud. For my impression, or at least from my understanding, it's actually what we know as Data Sphere. Sorry, I needed to rethink all the different names this part of the portfolio already had in the past. So SAP Data Sphere combined with Databricks. Databricks is an OEM partner with SAP now, and they will market this as an integrated thing. Now an integrated offering. As for my understanding, maybe you know more, It also gives the customers the option that they migrate all their existing data product from on-prem into the business data cloud.
Yes.
I would compare that actually to the approach SAP is taking with RISE. So offering more or less a cloud offering also to probably shift the contracts from perpetual to subscription-based, which is a major topic still at SAP. We will come to the numbers probably later.
Cloud revenue.
Cloud revenue. Yes, of course. And then, of course, the Databricks offering, I think, is the milestone. So the long-awaited data lake is finally coming to SAP's portfolio.
Right.
As I said, I think we covered this topic already for years. I didn't really understand the moves in the at least 5, 6, 7 years about the whole analytics portfolio within SAP. They lost a lot of ground towards Snowflake, Microsoft, whatever, all the others, I would say, in that space, and now try to catch up. Probably that will work due to the fact that the contracts, if they are similar to RISE, are pretty strict. Don't know how that will turn out, but it's for sure a battle for SAP to get or to gain ground again in that space. And of course, they have one benefit. These are the metadata of the business data customers have, and I think they finally see that kind of
So what the enterprise have been doing before, who realized the value of big data, lakehouses, data lakes, and so on, they would try to get the data out of SAP into a third-party lakehouse, right? Which has all issues about that. You have to keep up with your semantics and so on. The irony is that in the announcement, right, Christian Klein was talking to Ali Ghozi, the CEO of Databricks, and saying like, Ali's been talking to me the whole time, and it's so hard to help us to get the data out of SAP. So now it's not getting into a third party where SAP doesn't control it, and there's downsides that semantics are not known, have to be built, SAP changes something. Now it's an SAP maintained interface into object store, data lake, lake house, whatever you want to call this, right? And that is super relevant, not only from analytics side, like we said, that is super important for the AI side, right? I asked Phil Herzig, who was also there, how long it will take him, because of course this was new. Well, they shared that they've been talking to each other for a year, so they might have been doing a lot of work, or not a lot of work, or a lot of negotiation, but asked him how long it will take for him to reposition the SAP AI offerings on Databricks, and he said it's going to be happening in Q2, Q3. So they might have started doing something, or they might have been using Databricks. I think Databricks is a good solution. They're pretty much the market leader. Cloudera is there as well. Cloudera would have been the alternative. I'm sure some SAP Cloudera customers are not so happy. I'm curious if like later in the year we'll have a Cloudera partnership as well. So SAP is approaching this like cloud and like database in the past, but it's super relevant from analytics and AI perspective. And now the interesting thing is also what will SAP do to build new applications, right? Will these new applications which have to take care of the data be built on the classic stack on the OLTP side? Yeah. Or will there be a HANA version as a transaction system of choice at SAP on top of BDC as part of BDC? And of course, you can build this with BTP. I had a quick hallway conversation with Michael Ameling, the head of BTP, and said, yeah, of course, he will be able to do that, right? We'll see if that comes, but that will be not only SAP gets the lease on live because all business relevant information can store in an SAP system. It can be brought together with the transactional data. It's a big win for analytics, which we'll hear a lot for this year. It's the foundation for AI to be done in SAP, and longer down the road, it will be the next generation application of SAP, which should be built on BDC. Yeah. So for this perspective, I'm saying, like I said initially, it's probably, or from my perspective, it's the most important innovation platform announcement that SAP has done. And one last one, right? I mean, it's no longer SAP building technology like with HANA, which in hindsight, some people like I have said, they could have put this into applications and keep partnering and standardizing Oracle. Would be ahead in functionality today, but it's easier to criticize in the background. But they're partnering for technology again. So they're focusing on the PaaS layer and on the SaaS layer.
Yeah, as they do with the hyperscaler infrastructure as well in our areas. I think that's more or less a pattern there, and also on the AI side with leveraging different LLM models, where they also rely on partnerships. So yeah, just one remark towards the your comment about getting the data out and stuff. So there were already maybe would regard it as signs that SAP took the analytics space and especially in context of AI a bit more serious. I think we covered that topic already also here in the podcast in one of the previous discussions we had. So SAP restricted the access to the so-called ODP interface, which is a Delta-enabled interface to replicate data out of an ERP or any other backend system from SAP. And SAP tried to forbid the usage of this interface, which is, I think, something, where you could see that they didn't like to just witness how customers moving to other vendors and benefiting of their technology in the end.
And the data that they provided, right? The other super interesting thing asked Mohammed Alam, the head of products, that if that's also a solution for ECC customers, and he expects he will offer solutions for Inside Apps. I think Inside Apps is the name. I forgot.
Inside
Apps, right? Inside Apps will be available for ECC customers. So that's an important step, because it's kind of like a way for moving these customers to the cloud as well. Right, and ultimately, as a technologist, we all know like the setup of customers is also in declarative tables. If I can move data tables, I can also move setup tables. So there could be a very elegant way to move these customers to the cloud, something that SAP competitor on the CM side, Salesforce, has done already with their data cloud, right, where they build a generic way of moving all the data to their hyperscale infrastructure, and that includes a setup. So there's a migration tool there. So that will be potentially an answer, technology answer to the overall S4 migration problem. And I mean, if you can't create the value proposition, we can talk about this later, the upgrade issues. If you make the cost of upgrading easier, that's a huge, huge part too of saying, all right, why not do that?
Yeah, of course, I fully agree with that. I think in this whole and the announcement event, or the whatever pre-recorded session SAP broadcasted, was called SAP Unleashed. So if you want to look the full marketing video, you find it for sure somewhere on SAP's websites. There was another announcement, and there's a comeback of a very prominent name, I would say. So there will be a new SAP Business Suite, which is, again, SAP and naming. You cannot confuse more than just reuse existing terms. The new SAP Business Suite has nothing to do with the older Business Suite, but it's as far as I got the slides I saw so far, actually the term for SAP's full portfolio in the end, because it's actually containing all the lines of business solutions, BTP, and all the other offerings. But the promise SAP made, and then their USP, they at least mentioned in the announcement, is that they will go back to an even closer integrated business suite, where customers benefit from tight integrated topics. And that was, I think, the starting point of Christian Klein's career as a CEO of SAP. He started to get that integration part right. I think there is still some room for improvement, but SAP really sees that the best of breeds challenge is probably a bit too hard for them.
It's super interesting what's going to happen in that area. You're absolutely right, because when client heard that from customers, something that his predecessor Bill McDermott neglected. It was hard for customers to integrate the cloud applications. I think it's great that SAP listened. I would like them to speak more about it. I think they're going to do another DSAG survey. It's going to be super interesting to see the movement, year-over-year comparison, what customers are really using from SAP for integration or from third party. Long term, the interesting thing is, right, if I have all my SAP data in a lakehouse, my integration becomes a SQL statement, right? So I think lakehouses will kill integration in the sense of, like, I'm going to do point to point. I'm going to do app to lakehouse integration, right? And that potentially technically very sophisticated. I have to do this real time. But the app to app integration, where most of the time is spent right now, comes back to, well, but take what you need if you have access from my lake house, and be happy with that. Yeah, so very interesting. Good to see the integration aspect, and SAP simplifying the overall offering, I think, of bringing things together. And clearly, it's the end of SAP saying we're a technology company, we're going to compete with Oracle and HANA. We know this since a while, but the more BTP becomes part of the applications, right, the more it becomes what I call in my research an EAP, an enterprise application platform, of an enterprise vendor, right? The PaaS comfort blanket of the SaaS vendor. If you need to extend something, if you need to integrate something, if you need to build something because you'll never develop this or build this, then you can do this in the same framework, format, and so on. And then you work for a standalone EIP company, right? So with Neptune, to mention that there's also people who don't have a SaaS company in the background, right? So enterprise application platforms are super relevant. If you want
I wouldn't call us an ERP company, rather.
No, ER, no. So EA, right? Lost in
EA,
pronunciation,
sorry.
right? So an enterprise application platform. Right? The enterprise can build applications, which you definitely do, right? And you have to integrate some free generic use cases for them. Extend, which has been a staple for business applications a long time. It's been done for a long time. Integration, much less of an issue, but necessary there. Put an enterprise application in place, and it doesn't run in thin air without connections. And then, much more recently, in the last 10 years or so, the build use case, because there's missing automation that you need, that you want to differentiate yourself. And that's why the support for build, extend, and integrate in an EAP enterprise application, not resource platform, planning platform.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Thanks for correcting this. Yeah, I think you're totally right. That's and I think they are also benefiting probably from what they did in some years back. I didn't hear much about it anymore, but I think it's also more an internal thing. The so-called harmonized data model, which where they provided an harmonized view and from a semantic point of view on all their different LOB applications, including S/4HANA, and that's I think a huge benefit also now in the AI space, and so the whole story.
Super relevant, right? The other minor announcement there was that the Joule Studio is now in GA, which is important for customers. So you can build AI on top of that, and when all the things come together. So very, very important, because everybody wants and needs to build AI automation things.
Yeah, and of course, SAP is doing agents now, as all vendors are. So I think there's even an agent studio within Joule Studio or something.
Yeah, maybe it's Joule Agent Studio, whatever, right? So, but something went GA. So Phil Herzig on the AI side, which something goes GA on the AI side or gets announced on the AI side every hour or so.
Yeah. Right.
Good. So shall we move on? BDC, I think congratulations to SAP. I'm really so positive about doing the right thing. It took a very, very, very long time. Probably it needed the retirement of Hasso at the helm to get it done. So I totally understand those dynamics. But I'm good to see that. And now it's all about how quickly can they build things on top, and what's going to be the reaction from the competition, right? Oracle announced intelligent data lake or something, but mainly from the analytics side. So the question is what they're going to do on the data cloud side, or the data lake, lake house, whatever you want to call it. Same question, of course, for Workday. I mean, some ERP vendors like Infor has a funny problem. Info announced their data lake and uses their data lake for reporting needs since 2013-14. They now have to upgrade it because it's sitting on old AWS machines, and customers are not so happy from a performance perspective, right? So that's a different problem. It's a good problem to have because they're doing it since a long time. So Info is kind of like more AI ready than all the other three competitors I mentioned now, from a pure storing data. And we know that AI starts with the data. Yeah.
Right.
Shall we move on to the results?
Yeah.
Q1, yeah.
So I think SAP reported very strong results, and especially all the cloud numbers were going up pretty strong. I think sometimes I would like to see a bit more details in what they report, honestly, so really see what's rise, what's grow, what's net new, and what's existing customers migrating. But I think there are reasons for not reporting.
Yeah, I mean, 25% up quarter over quarter, and in cloud revenue, that's very respectable, right? So there's nothing to talk about and argue about, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the numbers are one thing. The sentiment at the customer side is the other thing. And there, at least here in Germany, I see customers going to RISE, which means that they are, after signing a RISE contract, they are reported as cloud revenue because RISE is subscription based. Even if I personally think from a technical point of view, private cloud and cloud is well, maybe not.
You should be in the cloud to do cloud revenue.
Yeah,
let us pay for a subscription, right? So if the subscription would be this, newspapers would have been in the cloud way before, magazines would have been in the cloud decades before the cloud was technically available. But the interesting thing around there is the which we've been talking about here quite a lot, is the extension of the maintenance, right? Which you can get, right? So SAP realizes customers can't really move to 2027, giving another 3-year reprieve to customers as long as they make the deal with the devil, aka SAP, and becoming basically RISE customers. And that's probably going to help the board, or Christian Klein and team, to get their bonuses in place and show the growth of RISE revenues, while the reality is that people are still running on premises. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but we will see. I mean, there are still the details missing for that new extension. At least what I've heard or read is that it's only targeted for big corporate companies who are just not able to do the migration in time. I think also interesting thing there with naming, grow and RISE got a new definition. So RISE is targeted for installed base, or all existing customers going into a cloud setup are now on the RISE journey. No matter if they are going public or private cloud. And on that, new customers are on a growth journey, which means which meant in the past that they are on the public cloud. I think public cloud first is still the case for net new customers. What I also heard. Just one remark on the sentiment. I didn't finish earlier. What I see at the customers in Germany, many of them go RISE, because also SAP is really pushing hard on the RISE topic. Most of them are doing it either for financial reasons, because of the discounts SAP is giving them, or to stay from a strategic point of view on the safe side, that they get future updates and product features they might need, which is a topic, because SAP offer certain services and products only for RISE customers in the future, or already does that. So yeah, I'm not that sure if that's in the long run really benefiting the customer relation.
Yes, but I think the other thing which is working, and customers are not stupid, right? I think AI is going to save the S/4HANA public cloud revenue, because I cannot do AI on premises. I cannot go to my board as a CIO and say I need 10, 20, 30 DGX machines from NVIDIA, which might not even get, right? So I have the money for that. Companies are realizing that. I mean, I was in Europe for 6 weeks this year already. More and more CIOs realize I need to go to public cloud. I need to create a data foundation. We go back to SD, to the business data cloud. But I need to be in the cloud to get the AI process running. So AI might be the carrot which helps SAP with the S/4HANA upgrade. We'll see if that happens or not, but that's what I'm hearing. So,
yeah. Actually, I would like to see if AI would be the game changer for easing the transformations.
So you mean the upgrade and so on? Yeah, I think we'll see. It's coming kind of like the opposite. I think AI will be the push to public cloud, but we will see much more lift and shift.
Yeah.
Get me there so I can build AI. And then we're going to have the hangover from that and saying, dang, we should have looked at these processes a little more in detail. We just took the same garbage in, garbage out approach in that. And the wise companies will do that. But you have to have this two-phase speed of that, right? So you have to go to the data cloud very quickly, build your applications, build those standalone potentially on BTP to have something complementary to existing on-premise, and then have the intestinal fortitude to say, but I'm not going to do the same thing like before. I'm not going to do lift and shift. I'm not going to do some improvements, uptake some capabilities where my partner had, or build some new ones also on the transactional side. So, but it opens all up with the data cloud, data cloud. It's a Salesforce name with or whatever it is, with the business data cloud, BDC.
Yeah.
So I'm getting used to the acronym. Yeah, but good results for SAP, right? I mean, people were kind of like saying, it looks like with the extension, SAP is managing to keep the customers, right? Because that's the question. That's what I heard a lot in 2023 and 2024. If I have to re-implement S4 for SAP, right, I could look to other people too, right? And this extension coupled with data cloud, which increases the footprint for SAP customers, and you have more things installed and running, so the switching costs get higher, is a very important year this year for SAP.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So next topic. no beginning of the year with our board changes at SAP.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting move. We've got a new COO as member of the board. It's Sebastian Steinhäuser, German guy who was working as a strategy officer for Christian Klein before he became COO already and chief strategy officer, but was not on the board. So he got promoted to the board now. Also still covering these two areas, so COO and chief strategy officer. And we've got a new CTO and a new extended board. So the new CTO is also a well-known person, as he is already the chief AI officer, so Philipp Herzig, but he will not be a member of the board, but member of the extended board. And we also have two new chief revenue officers. One of them is Jan Gilg, who was leading the whole S4, I think, product organization earlier. He's one of the co-CROs, mainly responsible for North America and everything ERP, if I got that right. Just as a side note, Michael Emmerling, who is chief product officer for BTP, will also be part of the extended board. So completely new organization, I would say. And maybe also reflecting what you said earlier, that SAP is moving away from being trying to be a technology company, more focusing again on the product and the business application side.
And more. No, absolutely right. Good summary, and more things. I want to just add this: more and more things which used to be in Jürgen Müller's organization are now in Mohamed Alam's organization. So he really owns the product future. There's no finger pointing between a head of applications and head of technology anymore. Yes, certainly Phil Herzig and team have to deliver on AI, and let's see how big he fills the CTO role like before. I see it a little more as ceremonial, at least for 2025, because really the measurement for him and his team is how they can enable SAP to build AI. I think it's smart to have this extended board structure. It has happened before at SAP. It kind of like from a career perspective gives people to be in the wings without getting some exposure to things. And clearly there's a succession strategy if things don't turn out to be right. Good to see that Jan Gilg, who kind of like got shoved away on the side with Mohamed Alam taking over from Thomas Sauer-Essig, who was building S4HANA. Very interesting to see someone who comes originally from IT. He worked with Thomas Sauer-Essig on the IT side, who went to product development and is now CRO for like 70 or something % of SAP revenue, which shows that at least the thinking of the board and Christian Klein, who do these appointments, is that it's an adoption challenge, which is there. Yeah, it's not like we need a super flashy CMO, marketing, whatever thing anymore. It's we have the product and we need someone who knows the product well and can tell these customers, also doing this which Thomas Sauer has been doing a lot, right? As a head of product, like I was a CIO, right? This shoulder to shoulder rubbing with the CIOs, and know exactly what the problems are. I was running this at SAP and it didn't work, and we fixed this and so on. That has a lot of value. So Jan Gil can do the same thing. So it's going to be interesting how good these numbers will be going, because it's super surprising to have someone who does not have any sales background in a CIO role for any major. It would not just the rest of the world outside of Europe, but for like just for Europe or whatever. It would be interesting to see. So, but he's a smart guy. I had very good interactions with him on the product side. So I saw him quickly also in New York. So I wish him well, and we'll see if it's an adoption issue or if things are missing in the product, right? So that's when the finger pointing starts between the revenue, the back carriers, and the product guys saying the product isn't good enough, right? And then it's going to be interesting how that's going to turn out. And Sebastian Steinhauser was there too. Spent all the 2 days with us analysts, which we always like. That apparently people are listening. Now we have to see how much of the listening is going to be put in the product, but definitely actively listening. So that was a positive, which didn't happen before. So we'll see how we can create the free room for Christian Klein to do the important CEO work and have a CEO who can run things in the background. So we'll see.
Yeah, I fully agree with Jan Gilg. That's for sure an interesting move. And I think what you just said, that it's not really a sales issue or rather an adoption issue. I think that was also stuff you could read after Scott Russell left the company and Julia White left the company last summer. So, so the whole puzzle pieces come together there.
Yeah, and no CMO, right? So which means like maybe Christian Klein took a page from.
There's the CMO. She is member of the extended board.
Right. You're right. But like
name, but I have it somewhere in my browser.
Shame on us, we don't know. You're absolutely right. But kind of like the setup that Bill McDermott had, where the CEO is the CMO, and then there's a CMO for doing all the other things. We'll see how she fills the role. Yeah. But yeah, what is the name? Shame on us here.
Wait a second. I have it here.
Gemini is still saying Julia White.
Pardon?
Gemini from Google is still saying Julia White.
I'm well prepared. I have the extended board side open because I couldn't remember the name.
Ada Guide. Yeah, Ada Guide. No. Back here, take it back from Jenna White. Like White left SAP White's career, and the new CMO with SAP comes aboard as Ada Guide. Yeah, well, congratulations to her. She has her work cut out for herself.
Right.
As all CMOs at SAP have. No question. Cool. Good.
Okay, good.
What are we missing? Did we miss anything? We had 4 topics.
I think we covered all the topics I put in my notes, at least. So maybe just...
we have 4 BDC?
Pardon me?
Didn't we have 4 topics? But no. Okay, 3.
Enough. We covered BDC. We covered
the results.
The result. The new.
Cover the board changes.
We touched the AI topics. So there was also announcement about that super agent topics.
Right. Yep.
But I don't have much details to tell about it.
Everybody's working on agent-to-agent integration, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is afraid that they're going to have the Copilot issue from Microsoft. You create too many of them, and then people can't coordinate them, and it's bandwidth to coordinate so many agents is beyond that. So this is going to be this to put my analyst head for a moment, right? What has happened with the BDC announcement is there's going to be a battle for the data of the enterprise, right? All the transactional data. Where is it going to be put, right? And everybody is going to do some data cloud offerings and so on. And in 2-3 years or so, maybe 1-2 years, everything's faster these days. The CEOs will wake up, oh shoot, we have our data in 9 to 10 data clouds. That's not good. People can steal it, security, cost of running it, and so on. They will try to consolidate that. And the chances for an ERP vendor, because of data gravity being real, we knew that before AI was around, more data attracts more data, will be that the ERP vendors are in good shape to be one of the 2-3 data lakes, which I think will be remaining, right? One will come from the hyperscalers. I said hyperscalers, I had to work from the cloud providers. And one will be maybe, if it's very strategic, a point solution, potentially a CRM solution, because your head of sales and head of marketing want to have their own playground and so on. So we'll consolidate down to 2-3 data lakes in the long run to run AI from. So, but in the meantime, it's going to be a battle for the data, and it's going to be bloody. Sorry to use the gory analogy here, because there's many large vendors, like for instance, I cover the HCM space, who are only HCM, and their data will go into the data lake of the AP vendor, and they're just going to be a data source for the applications. And the question is how to reposition them. So I think we're going to see lots of changes in the known enterprise landscape, with even category leaders, large vendors, potentially also Salesforce, even in the CRM space, or like say ADP as an example, who pays over 30 million people in the US, which are only HCM, which used to be a good area to do, but they don't have all the data which they need to do more than that. So interesting times ahead. We'll have lots of things to talk about.
For sure. Yeah. Just one last thing from my side. So coming up in the first week of April, there will be the DSAG Technology Days with a keynote with the new SAP CTO, and also Philipp Herzig, and of course there will also be a DSAG part. So Sebastian Westphal will do the DSAG keynote. Looking really forward to it, meeting the German-speaking SAP community. Right. And on the day 3 of the event, there will be an English-speaking event at DSAG.
Look at that! DSAG expansion.
Yeah,
like the professional leagues are playing here and there. Like my soccer league, Serie A, wants to play in the US next season. The NFL is playing in Europe. DSAG is speaking English. What has the world come to?
I think that's one reason for it is that it's TechEd Companion app event from last year. So being one of these TechEd 2024 events, and the other thing is that the Tech Exchange also is really suited for techies, and there are a lot of only English-speaking employees in German companies as well nowadays, and so that's
English is the language of technology. Let's face it, right? It doesn't matter. There's no talk about. So I think it's great to have an English day. Also, have now I should get up in the middle of the night to see what Phil Herzig has to say. So far, what he's been presenting and doing has always been good, or very good, right? So looking forward to. Might be one of the better SAP executive keynotes there. Are you going to do something again?
Yeah, we will have a Neptune so-called code challenge on the 3rd day. So running a workshop where we demo how people can build application with offline data on mobile devices and integrated with the backends. And as I'm also volunteer at the DSAG, so I'm running my DevOps working group and the partner council. So it's gonna get busy these days. So a lot of stuff to do, a lot of meetings also. But looking forward to it. I always love to have these events and meeting the usual suspects are there, of course.
It's great. Well, it's good to see. Excellent. Well,
okay.
Thank you, Martin. I thought we said it all. Look forward to listen to this. There's going to be the podcast. I'll be streaming this sometime soon. And if you said anything wrong, if you missed anything, if there's anything we should talk about, don't be shy. You can respond to us. We listen. We want to make this valuable time for you guys.
Yeah, right. And I would appreciate any comments also from to the podcast, and of course, podcast ratings are highly appreciated.
Like, subscribe, hit the little bell. Yeah, you can do this on the YouTube channel too. Just kidding.
Yeah, we are not a YouTube channel, right?
I know, but this is going to my YouTube channel. So like,
of course.
Ding, 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 whatever. No, just kidding. Yeah, all good. Perfect. Thanks for watching. This is Holger Mueller and Martin Fischer. Over and out. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.